We Black Americans do not owe anyone a damn thing, especially any individual or any group or any organization that is anti-Black and racist. For example, the Somali situation. They came out last year and boldly lent their support and advocacy to the felon-in-chief. They ignored Black Americans because of their anti-Blackness. Now they are dealing with the consequences of their vote. As well they should. It's time for these folks to be big boys and big girls and take their medicine. Now all of a sudden they are Black, when just a year ago they stated that they were Somalis. They weren't Black American. They were Somalis, they were Muslim, and they were Arabs. Because see, like many other POC groups who immigrate over here, they believe that they are superior to us, and they have bought into all of the white supremacist lies and talking points about the Black American community. And they have not only bought into those lies, but they continue to teach and spread those lies within their own communities. Black Americans, we have really seen that within the past year, ever since the presidential election. We do not owe anybody or anyone our forgiveness, our grace, our empathy, or our compassion. For me personally, I have none for them. It is not Black Americans' fault that we are standing alone. Should we be unified with especially other members of the diaspora? Yes. But I choose to live in reality, and we are not. And again, it is not Black Americans' fault. We are the one group in the United States of America that have had to fight to have our humanity recognized, and then to fight for the rights that we deserve. And because of our struggle and our sacrifice, many of these immigrant groups, including members of the diaspora, have come over here after the main struggle was ended and the Civil Rights Act was passed, and have enjoyed the fruits of our labor, starting businesses, going to school, when they become eligible, voting and participating in the democratic process, and taking other opportunities, again made possible by Black American fight for justice and equity and equality. But turning around and then looking down on us and spewing white supremacist lies. And we all know what they are. They advocated specifically the Somalis for the felon-in-chief last year, and they did indeed vote for him and helped to put his regime in power, and now they are dealing with those consequences. And now all of a sudden they want to be Black. We're all Black. No, the hell we are not. These white leftists and progressives, I have always said that they are the same brand of ice cream as MAGA and Republicans. They're just a different flavor. And boy, have they been showing their asses ever since Jasmine Crockett announced she's running for Senate. The woman is already in Congress. Think about that. She is just running to switch houses. She will not get an increase in pay, but she believes, and I believe it too, that she will be more effective in the Senate. And these folks have come out the woodwork with all of their bullshit, the same routine that they pulled on Kamala Harris last year. But we see you all. All of you all are motivated by two things: your racism and your misogyny. Black Americans, the only thing that we have to do and need to do is to continue to be Black American, and then when it is time, die. That's it. We don't owe these people our support. We don't owe them our advocacy that they seem to think that they're entitled to, despite their racism and anti-Blackness. Even those of us within our own community who sided with white supremacy, all of them can take a first-class express ticket straight to the pit of hell. Black Americans, We stand alone, but that's okay because y'all, we are enough.
First of all, do blacks owe anyone an apology for not standing with the Somalis? I'll honestly say no. This is not a divide, right? And you need to understand that for the longest time, these groups of people, not specifically Somalis, they have happened to be a perfect case study in this case. But you understand that this group of people, they are usually trying to guilt trip black people for not standing with Afrocentric views like the Pan-Africanism, the unity. We are all black people, right? We are not forgetting that, to be specific, the Somali group, right? Try to understand me. I'm just being critical. This is no hate, right? So the Somalis, I'm not saying all of them, but majority of them that came out and were so much vocal about their ethnicity and race, they were saying they are Somalis, they're not black, right? But when a black person sees you and hears you say that, they're like trying to understand, like, brother, if a white person sees you, he's not seeing a Somali, he's seeing a black person. So the problem comes when the anti-blackness that have been going on, especially in the Somali community, when we try to relate, now that they say that they are not black, right, in the Somali community, trying to relate with all these social issues that have been happening in the United States. Black Americans in the United States have been complaining that the Somalis especially don't want to interact with them. They don't want to have them close to them. And this is something to be talked about, right? Because for the longest time, this is something which is affecting the diaspora, like people who are in the United States. So honestly, I don't think black people deserve to give anybody apology for what is happening right now. Black people didn't deport the Somalis to begin with. They just happened to see it happen. So I don't see no reason as to why black people should feel sorry or should apologize for being vocal, supporting Trump to deport the Somalis. Brothers and sisters, this has been a long-standing debate that has been happening for the past, it's almost a month right now. I mean, 3 weeks right now, this is happening, and back and forth, people trying to say what they're saying. But at the end of the day, I'm going to break it down to you that people need to live with their consequences. You can't always be calling for unity. You can't always be seeing the importance of Pan-Africanism or, Afrocentric unity when you think it's only convenient to you. So this is the time to stand with your own, what you believe in, right? So I want to watch this video, and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. I'm your number one host and presenter, Index Stories. Until then, stay tuned. I'm going to be back. I'll be giving my 2 cents in regards to this. Let's get into it.
Keep that in mind. And be careful out here.
Don't let them divide us. We have no allies. I am only voting for foundational Black Americans. These are some comments that were put on a recent video that I did about Somali leaders and their F around and find out. And I think that some of these comments are put there in good faith, but I also think that I feel like I have a different perspective. This video is going to be geared more toward the Black community and the mindset that we sometimes have to wrestle with between being understanding and accepting and not taking any more crap. It is a delicate line that we have always had to play because our feelings and our passion is always viewed as victimhood or aggression, leading to them being able to speak about the reaction rather than the cause. So I want to address some of these comments and give my own candid perspective. Starting with, don't let them divide us. Some people may think that calling other communities out on their BS is letting the racists and the bigots divide us. But the thing is, we're already divided, which is why we're calling them out on their BS. Just because you don't acknowledge something doesn't mean it's not already happening. The divide was already there, especially when you're talking about a community like the Somali community, many of whom in the United States don't view themselves as a part of the Black community. Not all, but many, and enough to be able to make an impact. Colorism and white supremacy also goes throughout the other communities as well, the Hispanic community as well as the Black community. And I think that everybody who is guilty of that needs to be called out in kind. As much as they are trying to erase history, the Black community will never forget our contributions to this country and the people of color that live here and thrive here more than we do because of our contributions. Everyone loves to emulate our culture, our manners of speaking, our music, our dance, our food. But that's where the buck stops. In many cases, while emulating our culture, they denounce our people. And Black people are just not going to continue taking that amount of disrespect. We have given too much and have tried so hard to not only be accepting, but to make sure that not only do we have rights, but everyone else as well. We are the demographic that votes for the good of everyone, even for the good of people who don't like or respect us. And calling people out on their BS does not divide us, because the division was already there, and those things need to be called out. Another comment I got was that I was being too harsh on the Somali community because they are indoctrinated and ignorant. Willful ignorance is not an excuse. Google is free. Research is free. And sometimes people make a conscious decision to try to make themselves feel of a higher class by pushing down on the Black community. If your hair is straight, if your nose is thin, all of these white supremacist beauty standards that make you think that you're better than us. We see it in many other communities. This proximity to whiteness that makes people turn against the Black community because they think it is going to get them a leg up. Ignorance and indoctrination is not an excuse for hatred for a community that never hurt you. Now, a comment that I got often was that we have no allies, talking about the Black community. Even though I understand this sentiment, and stories come out all the time about people who impersonate our culture while also denying and rejecting our people, it's exhausting and it's isolating, and it makes you feel as if there are no allies. And in truth, there is no other race that you can say is a staunch ally of the Black community. But that doesn't mean we don't have allies within the individuals within those races. I see in my comments all the time in my videos, people that are not Black, that are here for the cause, that are marching in the streets, that are making videos and going to bat for the Black community. Where I grew up in Durham, North Carolina, my friend group was completely diverse. And to this day, 30 plus years later, I have been friends with these people, many of whom are non-Black, many of whom who would go to bat for the Black community. Black people were not the only ones who marched during the civil rights movement. Black people were not the only ones who fought in the Civil War. We have allies. There are masses of individuals who are there for the Black community. And even though it seems isolating because people of those same demographics will show their butt, and we get betrayed all the time by people who we thought were in our corner, and it comes out that they are not. We are surprised all the time by the Sylvester Stallones of the world, the Sydney Sweeneys, people you thought were cool, and then all of a sudden they do something to show their true colors. It happens to us more than anyone else, and it is exhausting. I don't think people understand the mental toll and the constant mental strength that Black people have to build up just to be Black and thrive in this country. Many of us are numb to things that would send others into a tailspin. So no, there is no racial group that has our back no matter what. Every other racial group seems to try their best to assimilate to whiteness. But the important thing to remember is that there are masses of individuals within those groups who are indeed allies, and we should not isolate them just because we feel isolated. Now, I got a few comments also that said that they're only going to vote for foundational Black Americans for political office. While I definitely think that if there is a Black person running, we should research them and figure out what they're about. And if they are down for the cause, and if they are good for the community, definitely put them into those offices. However, as we have seen in North Carolina and in Georgia, not all skin folk is kinfolk. Even some foundational Black Americans are not on the right side of history. We can't be black and white when it comes to our choices for political office. We have to look at what they say. We have to look at what their records are. We can't just see a Black person and say, they got my vote, because they may not have our best interests at heart, even on the Democratic side. If we start doing that and start making that our litmus test, we set ourselves up to be tricked by Trojan horses. Their policies are what matter. I don't care if they are Black, white, Muslim, Asian, Hispanic, Native, I don't care. Are you speaking my language? Are you talking about policies that are actually going to help everyone? That's what I want to focus on. Focus on the research of who these people are, no matter who they are, and base your voting decisions off that. I don't even vote based off of name recognition. I don't care if you've been in politics for 20 years. And this other person challenging you just came out of a third grade classroom. I don't care. If the person who came out of the third grade classroom is speaking more sense than the career politician who has been in there since the 1990s, I'm going with the third grade classroom person. Smart political choices During the primaries, that is the big thing as well. During the primaries is what is going to make the biggest impact. So anyone of the Black community who is independent and it makes it so you can't vote in the primaries in your state, you need to register as something where you can make an impact in the primaries. Because the primaries are where the real people are. The real people who want to be in office to actually help people. They are in the primaries. And if you can't vote in the primaries, then you can't help them get to where they need to go in the general. It amazes me how many people complain about the choices that they have in general elections when they never actually contributed to making that choice. And we need to start making good policy choices because a lot of the policies that are being enacted now are affecting the Black community. 300,000 Black women are out of work. An unknown amount of people cannot seek justice in civil rights cases because there is no civil rights division in the Justice Department anymore. Segregation is now legal again. Not socially accepted yet, but it's only a matter of time with the rhetoric that is coming out. The dismantling of civil rights protections, as well as all of this hateful rhetoric coming out, really makes it so we need to keep our heads on a swivel and pay attention to everything inside our community and out of it. Lastly, I got a comment that asked, what should the Black community be doing right now? We all know we're not getting out into those streets. And we all know that protesting with our wallets has been making an impact. But in addition to that, building up our finances and our financial literacy should be a huge goal. Making smart financial decisions, supporting Black businesses, continue to speak out and call people on their BS, continue educating ourselves and our children, continue protesting with your wallet, and supporting companies that support you. And yes, voting in primaries in every election. Stay active and informed, and don't fall for the doom and gloom. This community has been through so much. What America is going through right now is just a more massive scale of the things that have been happening to us for hundreds of years. But even with all of that, we have been pulling ourselves up, and with every setback, we leap forward. So don't fall for the doom and gloom of despair. I'll speak for myself when I say that I feel we are more united now than we ever have been in my lifetime. And I take heart in that. And I believe in our strength and our perseverance and our kind-hearted and accepting nature. But I also believe Black people are done taking disrespect from anybody else. We're done. And I think that we'll be just fine striking that balance. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this is a conversation that is healthy and that we should continue having.
Black folks owe you nothing. Every minority group in this country that is not Black American owes us for the sacrifices that we made to ensure that you have rights in this country. Rights that we aren't even afforded half the time. No one will rewrite our history as if my people didn't die bloody in these streets for centuries. My people were enslaved, imprisoned, and assassinated so that all minority groups could vote, go to school, get loans, paid employment other than manual labor, the right to run for office, the right to marry outside of your race. And yet, we are still being unalived for being unarmed and Black at the same time. Just ask the families of Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland, Walter Scott, Eric Gardner, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, George Floyd, and the countless others that didn't get a hashtag. Because police are trained to see us as the enemy because they were created to be slave catchers. My people fought through the bloodbath that was chattel slavery, the Black Codes, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the Civil Rights Movement. Our leaders were assassinated, imprisoned, or pushed out of the country. We've been put on the front lines of every war this country has ever been a part of, even while being enslaved, only to return to a country that treated us like second-class citizens. We had our successful communities, like Black Wall Street, bombed and destroyed out of racist jealousy. And then this country did it again in 1985 when the police bombed a Black neighborhood in West Philadelphia where 11 Black folks died, including 5 Black children, 60 homes destroyed, because they were organizing for Black liberation. And let's not forget the war on drugs, where instead of calling it a health crisis for the Black community, like they did for the white community, when crack hit our streets, This society, along with the help of President Nixon, Reagan, Bush 1, and Bill Clinton, the Republicans and the Democrats, used policy to fill up their federal and private prisons with black fathers and mothers that were addicted to drugs. Why? To create a $1 trillion business known as the prison industrial complex. There is overwhelming evidence that the justice system is rarely just for black folks. We get longer sentences for the same crimes as everyone else, higher bail rates. Our schools get less funding than every other community. We get paid less for doing the same jobs. All the medical advancements in gynecology came from the torturous experiments done to black women. They endured this torture with no anesthesia, and this went on for decades. And let's not forget the deadly experiments this government did on our black men during the Tuskegee syphilis study. That also went on for decades and didn't stop until the 70s. And then you're all so quick to say we have no culture, trying to gaslight us again because we are the culture. The culture that is exploited by every other group that y'all steal from and monetize all over the world. Recently, the FBI did a study that proves that white hate groups are the biggest threat to this so-called democracy, not black folks. All the massacres in this country have one common denominator, and it ain't us. And despite all the hate that comes our way daily, we have consistently done what was necessary. We did our job. We voted for the black woman because that was what was best for the country. And your mix of delusional white supremacy and anti-blackness led you to vote for the orange racist idiot that brought all this chaos. The chaos that we told y'all would come along with his fascist regime of loyalists. And with all this, my people still don't have equality in this country. No political power, no economic power. In this country that we built and died for, our blood is in this soil. And a debt never paid is owed to us, not the other way around. And why is this allowed? Because this country protects white billionaires so they can own all the major media outlets, which means they have control over what? The narrative. And they also have control over majority of these corrupt government elected officials on both sides of the aisle. And their strategy has been the same since they came upon our shores of Africa, looking for free labor, divide and conquer, which is why they created race to begin with, so they could have a power structure based on color, where black folks would always be at the bottom and they would be at the top. So now proximity to whiteness becomes power, even within other minority groups, so that Latinos, Indians, Asians, and even some Africans could be racist against black Americans in an effort to get treated just a little bit better by the majority white population in this country. Divide and conquer. Thanks for falling for it. Thanks for the betrayal that prolongs all of our suffering. That's how we get colorism, classism, and every other negative ism. But y'all have the audacity to demand that we stand on the front lines for you, because you're being treated like we've always been treated, while you refuse to ever stand with us. Go sit down. Fred Hampton tried to build a coalition with the Latinos, the Asians, and the poor whites, and the FBI took him out for it. And all those groups ran from any association to the Black Panthers and left them to be massacred and jailed. This is why it's so important to know your Black history. That's how I know what not to do this time around. Or maybe you're one of those Ezra Klein types that has no idea and has no empathy for the treacherous terrain we have to walk through being Black in America. The audacity of trying to tell us how to feel about a racist when a racist gets taken out by another racist who didn't think he was racist enough. Understand this. Y'all cannot, will not gaslight us onto these streets to be easy targets for these Second Amendment freaks who have been given the green light by Trump the chump and his Department of War That's the orange idiot y'all voted for, not us. The priority for black folks must be to destroy the self-hate that plagues our community due to the hundreds of years of oppression. Now, for those of you in the U.S. and abroad who are members of the BRC, be sure to check your emails this week because we have an important meeting coming up. As always, I love you, black man. I love you, black woman. Knowledge is power, power to the people.
Child, I was just going down a rabbit hole. And every time I read something, every time I sit and pay attention to what white folks are doing, whether it's discrimination, surveillance, policy rollbacks, or just their weird obsession with black folks and blackness, I come back to the same truth time and time again. We need to be just as obsessed with ourselves and our community as they are with destroying us. And baby, they are obsessed. They are working overtime, studying us, tracking us, creating laws around us, erasing us from textbooks, attacking DEI, banning black thought, and designing entire political platforms around limiting our progress. Baby, they're beyond obsessed. And child, I can't figure it out. And meanwhile, we're over here trying to be resilient, trying to out-survive a system that has already shown us time and time again it does not intend for us to survive. But let me tell you what I know for sure. Resilience is not necessarily a liberation strategy. It's a survival strategy. And at some point, we have to say enough is enough and start building for us with the same intentionality they use to try to dismantle us. Because, baby, some of y'all not angry enough. Yeah. Look at what's happening right now. 2024 and 2025 have been full of anti-black policy shifts. States are banning black history, attacking our schools, defunding diversity programs, and rewriting laws to weaken our political power. The FBI has already confirmed white nationalist extremism is the #1 domestic threat. Yet we are the ones constantly policed, surveilled, and blamed. Every sign points to the same thing. They are playing offense, and baby, we're stuck playing defense. And I get it. It is hard to untangle yourself from a system designed to keep you dependent. It's hard to trust. It's hard to build with people when every attempt at black unity in history was met with violence and sabotage. So I get it. But here's the part that we can't avoid. If we don't build for us, they will continue to build against us. It's inevitable. So we have to refuse. We refuse begging for a seat. We refuse to keep asking for protection from people who created the danger. We refuse to keep surviving inside a system we could be rebuilding outside of. And if we're going to be resilient, let it be because we're creating something new, not because we're trying to cling to something that was never meant for us. It's time, y'all. Time to create, time to build, time to choose us with the same loyalty and commitment they use to choose domination. Baby, we have to refuse like our lives depended on it. Because they do. All right, black folks, drink your water. Stay rooted, real, and knowledgeable. And mind your black business. Happy Black History 365. And I'll see you next time.
I'm going to tell you like my grandma told me. It's because we like ourselves. It's because we like ourselves. They cannot do anything to us to take away our joy. They can't do anything to us to take away our confidence. They can't do anything to us that makes us feel like we're not going to make it through. We know we're going to make it through because our ancestors did. Anything that you could do to a group of people have been done to us. And because we know that, because we know our ancestors survived much worse, we know that we can. They sang during the worst of times, so we can sing now. They laughed during that. We can laugh now. We like ourselves. And that's, if other groups of people, if they had to go through what we go through, they would not make it. And they know that. So they don't understand why we do. They don't understand how we can still laugh through all of this pain and turmoil. All the jokes that we made about how every day the world's falling apart, and here we are skating and double dutch and playing spades and line dancing and having a good time. They don't understand how that's happening. You see the farmers out there in Kentucky or Nebraska, wherever, they are having a horrible time, and their suicide rates are 3 times the national average right now, because they can't take it. They cannot take what we can take. Not only can we take it, not only can we endure, we can also be happy while we're doing it. We can find joy while we're doing it. That's why Black people always will be like, we don't take anything seriously, or we make a joke out of everything. In every situation, we make a joke because we know how to have joy. We figured out that life is about having fun, and people will look at that and they hate it. They hate it. They say that we're lazy. They say that we are, uneducated and stupid and everything, childish, immature. But the truth is, they're jealous. They're jealous because if what had happened to us happened to them, they would not be as happy as we are. They would not have figured out a way to still have joy. And they hate us for it. They hate us that they cannot do anything to us to rob us of that joy. And you know why? It's because they didn't give it to us. So they can't take it.
So one thing I can't stand are people that create a mess and they tear up stuff and then they want to run away and not help repair it or act like the victim. And that's what I see going on right now. I just saw so many creators post, right, where they're attacking Black women, or now they're calling us xenophobic because we are standing up for ourselves. Thank you so much.
Give it just a moment.
Okay, so this is wild because y'all are literally, oh, thank you. So y'all literally spit in our face, talk crap about us, work against us. We say, hey, we have a fire in our house and we need to put it out so we can continue to help everyone else put out their fires and elevate in life, because historically Black women and Black men have always helped other minority groups, whether it was voting rights for white.
You understand that many Black Americans argue that Somali community in the USA frequently seek protection, advocacy, and solidarity under the broader Black political umbrella, especially when facing police violence, immigration hostility, housing discrimination, or Islamophobia, yet resist reciprocating that solidarity when Black Americans face crises of their own. And you understand that this creates a perception of a one-way dependence. Black institutions, activists, and historical struggles are mobilized when Somalis need support. But when Black people need support, they always distance themselves when Black Americans accept mutual defense or shared political identification. Now, in the United States, Blackness functions as not only as an identity, but as an ad-won political shield built through centuries of struggle. Civil rights laws, voting protections, affirmative action framework, and anti-discrimination precedents, which were fought for largely by Black Americans. Somali immigrants arrive into a society where these structures already exist and often benefit from them immediately. Now, critics argue that Somalis' demand for help rarely on this legacy, while simultaneously rejecting the responsibility that comes with sustaining it, particularly when Somalis publicly insist they are not Black. but still appeal black political power when it is strategically useful. Also, this tension is amplified by moments of crisis. Understand that when Somali communities face police shootings, mosque surveillance, or anti-immigrant backlash, they often call on black leaders, black activists, and black political coalitions for support, framing their struggles with Americans' refusal justice disclosure. However, when black Americans raise issues such as incarceration, reparations, or systemic anti-black racism, Somali voices are frequently absent or neutral. To black critics, this appears less like neutrality and more like selective engagement, invoking blackness as a tool when under threat, while rejecting it as an identity or obligation when solidarity requires sacrifice or risk. And also at the same time, the refusal to reciprocate is also tied to identity insulation. By maintaining a firm ethnic and religious boundary, we are Somalis, we are not black. Somalis preserve cultural cohesion and avoid being fully absorbed into American racial caste system. While this is understandable from a self-preservation standpoint, black Americans argue that it allows Somalis to avoid the stigma of blackness while still accessing the protection blacks struggle to create. And in this view, Somali communities want proximity to black resistance without fully sharing in a black vulnerability, stigma, or long-standing political term commitment. So, ultimately, the resentment stems from the belief that solidarity cannot function as a transactional agreement. Black Americans are not simply, Black Americans not simply support a system to be activated during moments of Somali crisis. They see solidarity as mutual, continuous, and grounded in shared risks, not selective alliance. When Somalis demand help but decline to stand with Black Americans in return, it reinforces the perception of exploitation rather than coalition. Until both communities openly address this imbalance, acknowledging that benefiting from black political capital while disavowing black identity creates mistrust, the cycle of accusation, guilt-tripping, and resentment will continue rather than producing genuinely unity. So please let me know what you think about this, because I think at the same time, this is something that people need to address, people need to talk about, because the guilt trip is now starting. But at the same time, the people who are guilt tripping black people are saying that they are not black. So we are failing to understand the catch in between. But at the end of the day, I want to know what you think and feel about this. I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.